Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're plunging into, well, a monumental work of literature. But maybe not in the way you'd expect.
Right. We're not reading War and Peace cover to cover. Instead, we've got this fascinating collection of excerpts.
Exactly. Think of it as a curated tour. Our mission isn't a full summary, but more about pulling out those really sparkling nuggets.
Those insights into human nature, societal pressures.
And the brutal reality of war. Yeah. All through the eyes of Tolstoy's, frankly, unforgettable characters.
It's a shortcut, in a way.
A shortcut to understanding early 19th century Russia, and maybe, just maybe, ourselves a little better too.
And what's really interesting, I think, is how these different moments, these snippets, when you put them together, they build this really profound commentary on life, love, power, that big search for meaning.
Yeah.
We'll be digging into those internal struggles, the personal battles happening against this huge historical backdrop.
Okay, so where do we start? We begin our journey in those glittering Petersburg salons. Sometimes a bit superficial, maybe.
Definitely sometimes superficial. Anna Pavlovna's receptions, for instance.
That's the place. It's like the ultimate social battlefield, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we meet characters like the Vicomte de Mortemar, this nice-looking young man.
Introduced as a specially choiced delicacy. I mean, wow.
It really sets the tone, doesn't it? These early chapters are all about that social climbing, the maneuvering.
You see it so clearly.
Yeah, like with Princess Drubetskaya. Noble family, but, well, impoverished. And she's just ruthlessly pushing for her son, Boris, to get into the Guards, specifically so he can meet Prince Vasily Kuragin.
It makes you wonder, how much is genuine connection versus just strategy?
That's the core question, isn't it? How much is real, how much is performance?
And Prince Vasily, he seems like the master manipulator behind a lot of it.
Oh, absolutely. He's pulling strings everywhere.
Trying to marry off his daughter, Helene, who's beautiful, but the text calls her stupid.
That's the word Tolstoy uses, yeah. He wants her married into wealth, even to someone like Pierre Bizakov.
Pierre, the awkward philosophical outsider.
Right. And Vasily tells Helene, no one has ever complained yet of being too much loved. It's such a manipulative line.
It really is. And it speaks volumes about how easily that society was fooled by appearances.
It does. Helene's success, despite having, let's be honest, no real intellect, Napoleon called her a superb animal.
Wow.
And her salon was seen as a diploma of intellect. It's Tolstoy showing how shallow it all was.
So her cleverness was just this constructed facade.
Completely. A performance. It really exposes how easily people are swayed by charm and beauty, even when there's nothing underneath.
Does she ever, break character? Do we see beneath it?
That's a good question. From these excerpts, it seems pretty consistent. She remains that dazzling but ultimately hollow figure.
Interesting. And then there's Pierre himself. He makes quite an entrance.
He really does. Not exactly subtle.
Bursting into conversations, challenging the Vicomte on, liberty and equality, quoting Napoleon.
Which is pretty bold in that company.
And he gets exiled from Petersburg for riotous conduct, including, okay, get this, tying a policeman to a bear.
Tying a policeman to a bear. It's almost unbelievable.
It's quite the debut. Less socially awkward, more wildly reckless.
I think that's fair. It's impulsive, definitely a contrast to the polished salons, but it also hints at something deeper, maybe.
Like what?
Like this passionate, untamed energy that he hasn't figured out how to channel yet. It sort of foreshadows his later, more serious searching.
So this early Pierre, he means well, but he's just
unpolished, prone to doing these crazy things. It really sets up his whole journey, this search for something real beyond the games.
Okay, so from Pierre's dramatic beginnings, let's shift to another huge figure, Prince Andrew Bolkonsky.
Right. His quest for meaning goes in a very different direction. More ambitious, maybe?
Seems like it. He starts off pretty cynical about society, doesn't like the Vicomte at all, that polite weariness.
No, he wants something more, something meaningful. He's dreaming of glory, isn't he?
Yeah, his Toulon or Arcola moments. Those big Napoleon victories. He wants his own triumph.
And what's fascinating is that initial drive, that almost romantic idea of military glory, solving everything for him, finding fulfillment there.
But then reality hits.
Hard. Like when he's wounded at Austerlitz, lying there looking at the sky, dreaming he could change the whole battle single-handedly. It's such a contrast.
It also seems pretty dismissive of ordinary people.
Extremely critical. He suggests animal happiness is the only happiness possible for them, and that medicine kills more than it cures. Deep cynicism there.
So his journey is really about that clash, isn't it? Ideals versus the messy, brutal reality.
Exactly. How heroism looks from afar versus up close.
So meanwhile, we've got Nicholas Rostov, another young officer.
Right. Facing his own very different set of challenges. More personal, perhaps.
He seems loyal, enthusiastic,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's the gambling.
Oh, the gambling. Big trouble there. Losing 43,000 rubles. A huge amount.
And that scene where he has to face Dolokhov.
The same Dolokhov from the bear incident.
Yeah, who apparently had this look of cruelty back then. The tension must have been incredible.
Nicholas's whole struggle with that debt and knowing his family's precarious financial situation.
Count having resigned, thinking of selling the house.
It brings the grand scale of war right down to the personal level. It's not just about armies, it's about families potentially losing everything.
And his reaction after capturing that French officer?
Yes. The moral nausea. Even though everyone's praising his gallant deed.
It really hits home, doesn't it? The psychological toll.
Absolutely. It shatters that romantic idea of heroism. It shows the personal cost of violence, starkly contrasting with the ideals.
Let's talk about Natasha Rostova. So full of life, but impulsive.
Very impulsive, which leads her into that disastrous affair with Anatole Kuragin.
Pauline's brother, right. And he's already married?
Exactly. It nearly ruins her completely, leads to this severe illness and then a big shift.
Towards religion?
Yeah, this period of deep introspection, piety, preparing for Holy Communion, seeking guidance from Agrafena Ivanovna Belova.
It's a turning point.
A major one. Tolstoy frames it as this exploration of redemption through crisis. It suggests that real self-awareness often comes from hitting rock bottom, from failure.
Not from success.
Right. It's through facing her faults that she finds this possibility of a new, clean life and of happiness. It's a powerful shift from pure impulse to something deeper.
Makes you think about how crises shape us all, really.
Definitely. And then there's Princess Mary Bolkonskaya, Prince Andrew's sister. What a different life she leads.
Incredibly restricted under her father, the old prince. He sounds terrifying.
He does. Demanding, tyrannical. She finds her solace in prayer, even thinks about becoming a pilgrim, just wandering.
And the father.
Yeah.
There's that weird closeness with Mademoiselle Bourienne.
Yeah, it's unsettling. And he's completely against Andrew marrying Natasha, just vehemently opposed.
Mary's story is so moving, though. That longing for connection.
Deeply moving. And her eventual connection with Nicholas Rostov. It's unexpected, isn't it?
He's struck by her peculiar moral beauty, this whole inner spiritual world she has.
It really underscores that true connection goes way beyond just superficial attraction. It's about seeing something deeper in another person.
And when her father finally dies,
Mm-hmm.
her tears are relief, almost.
Yes, tears of relief mixed with sadness. It shows the immense emotional burden she was carrying, the breaking of those chains.
Which brings us back to Pierre. His journey just keeps twisting and turning.
It really does. After the disastrous marriage to Helene, that duel with Dolokhov, he throws himself into Freemasonry.
Seeking wisdom and virtue, right. Trying to reform himself.
Yes, self-reformation and self-purification. He's looking for answers, for a system, a structure for living a better life.
But he gets disillusioned with that, too.
Pretty quickly. He starts doubting the sincerity of the other Masons, the brothers. He feels like they're just in it for the connections, the honors, the social climbing.
So even somewhere meant for spiritual growth, anxiety creeps in.
Exactly. It shows how hard it is to pursue something genuine when it gets tangled up in ambition and status, which is kind of ironic.
And then he shifts again, this obsession with killing Napoleon.
Yeah. To end the misery of all Europe, it's like he needs this grand, history-changing mission.
His own Toulon, like Andrew wanted.
Precisely. A desperate attempt to find that huge purpose in a world that feels completely chaotic, but the real shift, perhaps, comes later.
With Platon Karatev.
Yes. The simple soldier he meets as a prisoner. Karatev just accepts life. He loved and lived affectionately with everything life brought him in contact with.
Such a contrast to Pierre's intense searching.
A huge contrast. It suggests a different kind of wisdom, something more grounded, more accepting than all of Pierre's abstract philosophical quests.
Okay, we've spent time with these individuals, their personal quests. Now we need to zoom out, look at the big stage, the war itself.
Right, because the war isn't just a backdrop. It feels like a character in its own right. It shapes everything.
We see the troop movements, the preparations, the sheer grimness of battle. Even the Emperor Alexander gets a description.
Yeah, not just a distant ruler, but shown with gaiety and youth, a gentle, mild light in his eyes. It humanizes him, briefly.
And the military strategy discussions, they'd sound complex.
Oh, absolutely. You hear the debates between generals like fuel, this German theorist Prince Andrew is quite critical of.
And Andrew's own conclusion is pretty radical, isn't it?
It really is. He basically decides there is no science of war, that military genius is mostly an illusion.
So if it's not the generals, what decides things?
That's the million-ruble question, I suppose. What does determine the outcome of these huge historical events?
And Andrew's answer is surprising. He says it depends on the man in the ranks who shouts, "We are lost," or who shouts, "Hurrah!"
It's a huge departure from the great man theory of history, isn't it?
Completely. It puts the power, or at least the deciding factor, with the ordinary soldier.
And that perspective is just crucial to understanding Tolstoy here. The spirit of an army, he suggests, is what truly matters, more than plans, more than equipment.
The human element.
Exactly. Which is maybe why Kutuzov, the Russian commander, is portrayed the way he is.
He seems kind of weary, almost indifferent sometimes.
But he has this deeper, intuitive grasp of things. He understands the soldiers, the rhythm of the battle. He values old age and experience of life over just being clever. He gets the human element.
Let's talk about Borodino, that massive battle.
Pivotal. Tolstoy calls it a moral victory for the Russians, even with the horrific losses.
And the description, fought on an open and almost unentrenched position, with far fewer troops than the French.
It really highlights the resilience, doesn't it? It wasn't about brilliant tactics on the day necessarily.
More about endurance.
Endurance and spirit, yeah. It exhausted the French army. It was the mortal wound, Tolstoy says, that ultimately led to Napoleon's failure, even though they still marched on to Moscow afterwards.
A victory within a defeat, almost.
Or a defeat that contained the seeds of victory. It's complex.
And Moscow itself becomes victim.
A huge casualty. And Rostopchin, the governor, he's an interesting figure.
Full of patriotic sentiments, but seems kind of out of touch.
Completely. Impulsive, doesn't really get the people he's supposed to be leading. He struggles to accept that Moscow will actually be abandoned, even when he knows it intellectually.
And his actions, like handing out weapons?
Ironically, just added to the chaos. It's a warning, maybe, about leaders who don't understand the people they govern.
So the abandonment, the fires, the looting, it was almost inevitable.
Tolstoy presents it that way. The entry of the famished army into the rich and deserted city resulted in fires and looting. It destroyed both the army and the city, a tragedy born from chaos.
But then something else emerges.
Yes. These partisan groups, popular resistance bubbling up from below, led by unexpected figures like a sacristan or even a village elder's wife, Vasilisa.
So when official leadership fails?
The people find their own ways to resist. It's a different kind of power dynamic emerging from the ashes.
Wow. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. High society, intense personal journeys, the chaos of war. So what does this all mean for you, the listener, taking all this in?
Well, what really stands out from these excerpts is this constant tension, isn't it? Between what individuals want their plans, their ambitions for glory or meaning.
Like Pierre and Andrew.
Exactly. And then these huge, unpredictable forces of history just sweeping them along, reshaping their lives completely.
But they still make choices within that.
They do. And it's their internal responses, how they react, how they keep searching for truth or connection that becomes their own kind of victory, or maybe their form of resistance.
So it's that interplay between the external world and the internal life.
Constantly. You see how war changes not just borders, but souls. How status doesn't buy happiness or wisdom.
And how real strength often isn't about power or being smart.
But about resilience, yeah. And that genuine human connection, like Pierre finds with Karatev or Mary finds with Nicholas, Tolstoy seems to suggest that's where real meaning lies, even amidst total chaos.
Our deep dive today, pulling these moments from War and Peace. It really reminds us, doesn't it? Beneath the big headlines of history, it's always made up of countless individual stories.
Stories of struggle, love, loss, and that relentless human drive to find some kind of meaning in it all.
Which leaves us with a thought for you to take away.
Consider this. In your own life, what seemingly small personal struggles or maybe decisions you've made, what things might actually, looking back one day, turn out to be a really pivotal part of a much bigger story you couldn't see at the time.